I've been doing this for a very long time. Ask any bodybuilder. If you stay on cycle and you just keep taking more and more drugs, it does not work better. You just don't respond anymore.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
RX Television, RXMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, your 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. Bodybuilding, non-bodybuilding, Arnold Classic, UK around the corner this weekend. Whatever's on your mind, we got you covered. Before we go to the questions, Dave, our friends at Titan Medical running a special on a new product, a new copper peptide product. If you want to tell the fans a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it's a great, it's years ago, back in 2000, this is going back 24 years ago, I had some hair grafts done, hair transplant, and they gave me this shampoo to put on there. It was like a copper peptide topical. And because they knew at the time that copper peptides helped with healing and regeneration of connective tissue and collagen. Well, now they actually have these copper peptides available for injection, so they can be put into areas where you have damaged skin or, just in general, you need general healing throughout your body, or you want to have better nails and hair. It seems to really go right to the scalp and stuff like that. And that's, I think, why they used it when they were doing hair transplant. They probably still use it to this day. Remember, they gave even a shampoo with it in it to use it for the first week after the transplants to make them heal better. So these copper peptides are pretty cool. Titan just got this in, and they're doing a special. It's $25 off. There's a coupon code. You're going to put it in the description.
Yeah, we're going to put it in the article description below. Yeah.
And so it's only through the 15th. So it's only through March 15th. So you're going to want to check it out. Get a bottle. I just got my bottle. I haven't even started using it yet, but I'm hoping I'm going to see my hair thicken up a little bit and get some better nails. So try it out. I think you're going to love it. I think there's a lot of great research on hair regeneration and really good skin and elasticity to your skin with the use of copper peptides. So give it a shot. And if you call over to Titan, you can mention Dave Palumbo and RXMuscle and you get a discount.
Again, the article, all the information for this sale is in the first line of the article description below. Take advantage. The sale expires in
the 15th.
No, on the 15th. So in 3 days. So you only have 3 days. Take advantage of this. So again, go to Titan Medical Center, 727-389-3220, and mention Dave Palumbo, RXMuscle. Let's go to the questions. The first two questions on the show from the Dave Palumbo Experience. That first question, it's a good one here. Do you have any idea what CrossFit athletes are taking or able to hide from drug tests if they have to? It just seems like if there's squat cleaning 400 pounds while maintaining abs year round, they'd probably have to be on some type of PEDs.
Yeah, I think they kind of do what the cyclists do. I don't think they get tested off season much. I don't know if there's any random testing, but so I think they build most of their strength and probably take anabolics, off season, like testosterone and stuff that's not going to, show up for long periods of time in their system. You probably wouldn't want to do EQ or DECA because those have really long metabolites. But assuming you're doing like testosterone or even some orals like Anavor and stuff like that, fast acting stuff, off season, build your strength. So you got your strength. And then obviously, when you're going to get tested at these competitions, you just make sure you stop everything in enough time to clear your system. So like long-acting injectables would be stopped 4 weeks before. Orals can be taken up to almost 10 days before, like Anavar and Winstrol, and then they just stop those. I'm assuming they probably would possibly be using EPO for increasing red blood cell count for endurance as well. I don't know if they test for EPO in the CrossFit games. They might, it's just a sophisticated test. I don't think they're spending that kind of money there, and I'm sure a lot of these guys probably use growth hormone as well for recovery purposes, and probably low dose. In cycling, the way they got away with it is what they would do is they would use testosterone patches. So, because those guys get tested every single day that they're riding on the Tour de France. So they get off the bike. I've given this protocol before. They get off the bike, they piss in a cup, they get tested, and then they go back to their room. They slap on a testosterone patch. They wear it all night, the rest of the day, and then all night to recover. They get the testosterone benefits. And then when they wake up in the morning, they take the patch off and they ride, for whatever it is, 6 to 8 hours for the day. By the time they get back to get tested again, it's out of the system already, and they pass the test. And they can do this over and over and over again. A lot of them will also use blood doping or EPO to raise the red blood cell count. They do test for EPO now, so you have to be kind of careful about that. That's why a lot of people have been doing blood doping, which is they pull out their own blood, they refrigerate it, and then, when they're cycling during the, they'll add back blood. So they have additional blood, because if you take a pint of your blood out, your body will replace it, over the next couple of weeks. And then you have that extra pint you can always put back into your body. So you have additional red blood cells and oxygen carrying capacity. CrossFit Games is kind of like it's like an amalgam between endurance and strength. So you need both. So the strength you develop in the off season by obviously adding muscle and putting on weight. And then before the competition, you have to cut those drugs out. You're not going to really lose that muscle that quickly. And obviously, and then they use the red blood cell raising, techniques to make sure that they have enough oxygen carrying capacity for the endurance aspects of CrossFit. And that I imagine is probably pretty standard across all these guys. No one's going to talk about it, obviously, because they get tested, but I think that's pretty much how they do it.
Second question, again, these questions from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. Just watch the old, I don't know if it's a whole word, mock video or mock productions, MOC productions. Those videos have featured, some of the mass monsters from, a few years back. But anyway, the question is, he was wondering, watching these videos, how all these mass monsters dealt with the GH sides.
There's really not that many side effects from growth hormone, aside from a little fluid retention. Some people get some pins and needles in their hands or something like that. If they have like a bad carpal tunnel, issue, sometimes there's a little space issue there. But by and far, most of the side effects of GH you don't even know you have, which is insulin resistance or, not enough insulin, whatever the case may be. But sometimes you could run some high blood sugars on that. So guys back in the day didn't even know because no one had blood sugar monitors. Nowadays, everyone can kind of test their blood sugar because you can buy a blood sugar monitor from Walmart for $9. So if that's the case, you can always supplement with long-acting insulin. So GH doesn't really have side effects like this anabolics do. Whereas anabolics, you can get bloating, you can get acne, you can have hair loss, you can get loss of libido or too much libido. There's so many various side effects that you get from taking anabolic steroids that you just don't see with GH. It's a much safer type of thing because it's not an androgen. It's not a sex hormone. It's a protein hormone. That's why women can take it with less side effects. The most side effects like I see is excessive bloating. People hold a lot of fluid from it. And that's usually a dose-related phenomenon. So both questions really good. Coming from the Dave Palumbo Experience app, guys, I want to thank you for supporting that app. It's $29 a month. You get Dave Palumbo as your coach in your back pocket. You get all my writings, all my videos in one place. I also answer everyone's questions in an open forum, so everyone sees everyone's questions and answers, which is a real learning experience. I also do a Q&A video every single week, an additional video just for the app members, which people seem to really, really love because it's another additional learning tool. We put up a workout every week so that people can, change up their workouts, and all my protocols are in there, from drug cycles to workouts. And I mean, it's just a really complete type of coaching app where you can kind of extract a lot of good information. And like I said, I want to thank everyone. The app is continually growing. We have a lot of members and a good interaction. So thank you so much.
Let's go to our Facebook and Instagram questions. Facebook RXMuscle, Instagram official_RXMuscle. Let's go to Kayvon Southernia. Would you approach estrogen control via an AI, or would it be healthier to use a DHT such as masterone to control estrogen? If so, do you see this approach being used in TRT by the doctors in the future?
Yeah, masterone doesn't solve your estrogen problem. If you're taking testosterone and drugs that aromatize, that means convert to estrogen. The only way to stop that estrogen is to block that conversion, which is what an aromatase inhibitor does. Now, you don't want to lower estrogen too much, or then then you have the negative effects of having too low of estrogen. You can lose your sex drive. You can be more prone to, heart issues, blood vessel wall, integrity loss. So you got to balance it. So you got to figure out how much aromatase inhibitor you need, given the drugs you're taking and how much your body aromatizes, and figure it out. Usually I usually start guys on a 0.5 milligram of Arimidex every other day. If you're doing a cycle, I'm not talking about HRT. HRT probably shouldn't even, I wouldn't even take an aromatase inhibitor. But for a cycle, if you're doing a cycle, you should be on like a 0.5 milligram every other day. If that's not cutting it, you're getting side effects, and you take blood work and your estrogen is high, then I would go to a 0.5 milligram every day. Some people need a whole milligram every day. Depends how much you aromatize. And that's genetically variable. I always used an aromatase inhibitor while I was, on a cycle, because I didn't want to lose testosterone into going into estrogen. Plus, I always was on a DHT blocker like finasteride. So if you block the DHT conversion route, then you're going to get more conversion to estrogen. So you really need to block both routes. Testalize, my species nutrition product, is like kind of like a natural, herbal form of blocking both pathways, because the saw palmetto extract we use is very highly purified. It blocks DHT conversion. And then we have some estrogen binding agents in there, like diindole methane and indole 3-carbinol, which kind of just pull extra estrogen out of the body. So as a first line of defense, like if you're going to do HRT, that would probably be adequate. Once you get up to like 1,000 milligrams of testosterone a week, you're probably going to need some Arimidex. And it's, I know there's a lot of, people are trying to like make Arimidex seem like it's the devil, but it's really not that bad if you use it in the right dose. I think people just go crazy and they take too much of it, and that's when you run into problems.
Question from Damian Deline. My 11-year-old is a quote-unquote Carbosaurus, shies away from red meat, eats chicken nuggets, fingers on occasion, but eats fruits and some veggies, plays sports year-round. I can tell he doesn't recover the way that he should. I've been giving him half a serving of Amino Evolved at night before bed. Is this a good idea? What else can I implement besides taking, all right, whatever. So yeah, so half a scoop of Amino Evolved at night before bed for an 11-year-old, I guess, to help him in terms of his recovery.
Yeah, I think it's great. Matter of fact, my kids, I'm horrified by all the juices and sugar drinks that they sell out there. And, not even talking about soda. I'm talking about just orange juices. Those are just terrible for kids. It's just pure sugar. So my kids have been drinking Amino Evolved since they were since they can drink out of a cup. That's how long they've been drinking it, because it's got no, sugars in it. It's got amino acids. They're all essential. Most kids don't eat enough protein because, they're, especially my youngest is the worst eater of all time. She has never even eaten a hamburger. She doesn't like meat. She doesn't like, she'll eat maybe a chicken nugget here and there, but she just doesn't like a lot of protein. So for her, that's really good. And like I said, if your kids tend to eat garbage at night, and you're better off putting that in their cup, their sippy cup, or if they're older, just make them a Amino Evolved. Let them drink that with dinner, or let them drink that when they're watching TV. Even if they're eating snacks with that, at least they're going to get some protein in. And I think it's way healthier. Yeah. So I'm a huge advocate of that for kids over the sugary drinks.
Seems like your boy is back. Vigorous Steve made recently a video saying androgen receptor downregulation is bro science, and it actually upregulates. The opposite of you. I am confused.
Well, I'll leave you with this. Who has the best androgen receptor sensitivity of any population of people? Women. Why do women have such good androgen sensitivity? Because they don't have any testosterone in the body, or very, very minute amounts. So what the androgen receptors do is, in order to recognize that very low amount of testosterone, because their testosterone is produced from DHEA, which is an adrenal androgen that they produce, and then some of that can convert to testosterone, very low amounts. So for their bodies to be sensitive enough to receive that signal and actually respond to it, they have to have a lot of androgen receptor density. meaning that they have to have a lot of androgen receptors. That's why if you give women like the weakest steroid out there, like Anavar, they grow. People are like, holy mackerel, how come women grow so much from Anavar? Because they have better receptivity. Same thing with a bodybuilder. You give a bodybuilder, take them off a cycle for 10 weeks or 12 weeks, and then you put them back on, and boom, they respond so well. Because when you have nothing present, your body increases androgen receptors. I don't care what he's quoting. It's just not true. The more you take, the better your receptors are not. It's just not. That's not real science. There might be a study that showed that in a lab rat in an experiment, but I'm telling you, I've been doing this for a very long time. Ask any bodybuilder. If you stay on cycle and you just keep taking more and more drugs, it does not work better. You just don't respond anymore because your androgen receptors just don't want to do it. They're oversaturated. You take away the drugs, and that's why cycling was invented. Why do you think people started cycling steroids? It wasn't because they thought, oh, we should just go off these things because they're probably not good for you. No, because it works better when you go off the drugs and then you go back on the drugs again. And that's the reason why. Once again, if you want to debate me, I'll be more than happy to sit and debate them, all day long. There's something called practical experience and just logic. I mean, the fact that women are such sensitive responders is all the evidence you need right there, because less drug, more receptivity. More drug, less receptivity. That's the way it works with IGF-1 receptors too. If you take too much IGF, what happens? It doesn't work anymore because your body just down-regulates the IGF-1 receptors because the body doesn't want to be overwhelmed. Same thing with clenbuterol. You take too much clenbuterol and you overwhelm the beta-2 receptors. What happens? It doesn't work anymore. It stops because the receptors down-regulate. Clenbuterol works the best the first 2 weeks you take it because you have so many beta-2 receptors that are just waiting to be stimulated. Once you overstimulate them, they downregulate. They don't disappear. That's why clenbuterol continues to work. It just doesn't work as good as it does the first 2 weeks.
And why bigger? Can you explain how critical tanning is for a successful bodybuilding career? One of the reasons why I think Hottie looks so great at the Arnold Classic was his skin tone. It just looks perfect and really made his striations pop. Have you ever seen a bodybuilder that should have won a show lose due to poor coloring?
Yeah. Well, let's say you have a black wall in your house and you want to paint it white. Okay. One coat ain't going to do it, right? So it's the same thing in opposite with tanning. With tanning, if you want to have really dark skin on stage and you're starting with very, very pale skin, you're leaving yourself open to problems because you don't have an undercoat, you don't have a base coat. So when you paint on this color, okay, and then you smeared or you sweat a little bit, you see the undercoat. But if you have a dark undercoat, if you have a dark base tan, and back in the day, we always tan. I used to tan in a tanning bed all the time, 4 times a week, especially before a show, just to get the darkest I possibly could, with a tanning bed. And then when I put the tanning stuff on, whatever it was at the time, Pro-Tan or Jantana, they didn't really have the liquid sun rays back then. My tan looked so good because I had a base tan underneath there. It's always better not to risk. Now look, if you have skin cancer in your family and you don't want to get skin cancer, that's a different story. But for most people, they tan, and unfortunately, if you're not competing in the summer, and you're starting in the winter, you can't go outside unless you live in Florida like I do. So the best tan is if you can go outside, obviously, but not everyone has time for it. Not everyone can do it. I never had time to tan outside when I was always working or going to the gym. So I just laid it 8 minutes. I don't even know what the new ones are. It's probably like 4 minutes in a tanning bed. Who doesn't have 4 minutes to jump in a tanning bed? One of those stand-up beds and get a little bit of a base tan. I think people are a little lazy when it comes to that. I would absolutely recommend having somewhat of a base tan before you put on stuff. And if you don't tan, if you're one of these people that just turns red, you can use melanotan too. Melanotan will get you dark. You don't even have to go in the sun. It's a peptide that darkens your skin. So there's no excuse to not have a base tan before you put on your color.
Really good one here, and this is one that we talked about some of the recent influencers on the scene. Obviously, Sam Sulek comes to mind, and the debate as to whether or not he will compete, should ever compete. and so on and so forth. So it's from Ask Big Frank. It's not meant as a shot towards anyone. I would honestly like to know your opinion without using names. If a younger influencer on YouTube has millions of followers and a company sponsors him, what will be the benefit of competing? If the kid has incredible genetics, they may not be the best in the world. The kid already has what no competitor has. I guess he means the followers. I understand people would love to see what he could do in a competition, but is it worth it? If anything, I see no benefit, but only the chance of a negative if he doesn't do well. I'd love to know your opinion and if you see a positive to it.
Look, I can always competed, not because of money or anything like that. I just loved competing. I loved the challenge. I wanted to win. I wanted to be, I wanted the validation for it. To me, I'm very competitive. So if I was a big influencer, let's say I was back in the day when I was like 300 something pounds and I was making a lot of money because I had a lot of social media on YouTube and this and that, and I had a contract with a supplement company, I would still compete because I would want the challenge. To me, it would be boring to just always just do YouTube videos and Instagram, and that be my only validation. I would want to be validated as a bodybuilder because I was competitive. So there are people out there that don't like competing. They don't like dieting. They don't like the process. They don't like being judged by anyone. So for those people, it doesn't pay to compete. But if you're a competitive person in general, I see no reason why it's going to hurt your brand whatsoever. It can only help. Because if you really give 100% to the process, you're going to come in shredded, whether you win a show or not. As long as you look your best on stage, then people will respect that. And they'll respect the process you went through. Because I think a lot of these guys that are very popular on YouTube, I think they would be even more respected if they actually went all the way and did the contest prep and showed how hard it was and showed the process of what it took to get themselves ripped. And I don't think anyone even cares what these people would place. I think they would just be enamored with the process and to see how the person went about their contest prep. Because after all, that's why people tune into guys like Sam Sulek, because they want to watch his life. They want to see his lifestyle. That's what they're attracted to. If he's doing things that maybe they can't do or they don't have the opportunity to do. If Sam decided to diet for a show, everyone would be watching what his contest prep was like and what he went through and how he did it and what he ate and what kind of supplements he took. So I don't see any negative drawback to competing.
Take 2 questions. Max from Bilal Hamide. Considering that you're taking whey protein far away from your workout, would it take much of a difference if it was a normal whey protein mix rather than a pure isolate, since it would be more cost effective and you wouldn't be needing that immediate digestion of protein right away?
Well, whey isolates and whey concentrates digest almost, pretty similarly, assuming you digest the whey concentrate. The problem with the whey concentrate is it has lactose, and a lot of people do not have the ability to digest lactose well. I have zero ability to digest lactose, but some people have some ability. But unless you have full capacity to digest lactose, you really shouldn't take a product that has lactose in it, because if you don't digest some of it, what happens is the gut bacteria ferment it. And, that produces the methane gas as a waste product, which gives you gassy. Sometimes it causes diarrhea. But what it does worst of all is it causes malabsorption of the protein. You poop it out before you absorb it, which means you're wasting it. So you think you're getting 50 grams of protein, you're maybe only absorbing 30 grams of protein or 25 grams of protein. So you just don't know. So if being that when I was bodybuilding, everything I put in my body, every workout I did, I wanted everything being perfect. I would not take a chance that I wouldn't absorb some of the protein that I'm eating and that I would malabsorb it. So I would never even do that. And but that's just me. I always wanted to make sure that every aspect of my training was perfect. And if it wasn't, then I would always go and get the best thing, even if it cost a lot more money. I was working for a company. I was buying Metrics packets because they were the best at the time, the old original formula. And then luckily I got to work for Metrics. But so, I always went for the best. Just like if you have a really nice car, are you going to really not put 93 octane in there? You're going to put the 87? No one's going to do it. You'd be crazy to do that. The car's going to run better on the higher octane. You're going to get better gas mileage. It's better for the engine. So same thing with bodybuilding. You got to put the best quality ingredients inside. That's why when I made Species Nutrition, I made every product has the best quality ingredients in the right dosages, because I made it for myself. Because even though I don't compete anymore, I still want to put the best ingredients into my body, because after all, I want my body working at maximum efficiency. But yeah, I mean, look, you can really spend a lot of money on producing a whey isolate. And when I went and originally started doing whey isolates and looking into them, I didn't even know there was a difference between higher grade and lower grade. I thought all whey isolate was the same. And I think that's the problem. The general population doesn't know that. Some whey isolates do have lactose in them. Not as much as a whey concentrate would, but some of them do. And that's why you can't if it just says whey isolate on the outside of the container, it doesn't mean it's the best quality. You got to look at how many grams of protein per serving it is. So if it's like most proteins are 33 grams serving sizes. Of that 33 grams, how many grams of protein? Species Nutrition Isolized is 28 grams. That's the highest yield you can get. No one has more than that. Okay, you just can't do it. Can't extract anymore. We use the highest grade isolate. Most are 25, 24. Some are as low as 22. So if you have less than this, that means there's more lactose in there, and you get what you pay for. That's really what it amounts to.
That's going to do for this episode of As a Reminder. Right now, in the article description below, Titan Medical is running a sale on their new copper peptide product. It's only going to be for the next 3 days that the sale applies, so make sure you act now. Tell them Dave Palumbo and RXMuscle sent you. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell. You're not going to miss any of our show's upcoming segments. And if you like what you're watching, hit the like button, comment below. And as always, we appreciate all of your support. For Dave Palumbo, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next time.